Hello everyone and welcome to the 2020 Alberta Knife Making Championships. This event is usually held in conjunction with the Alberta Farrier Championships, but due to the pandemic associated with the coronavirus, the Alberta Farrier Championships was cancelled. We still wanted to run the Alberta Knife Making Championships, so we had to improvise some judges and maintain our social distancing and bringing you this via YouTube.
The 2020 knife contest at the Alberta Farrier Championship. Because of the coronavirus, we're kind of a little low this year, but we got mail-in knives, so we're just going to be Keith Orm judging and myself, Lauren Lawson, judging. And we're going to get on this and see how good they are.
Judge Keith Orm measuring the length of the blades. Make sure they all match the measurements. What were the measurements supposed to be again?
6 to 8 inches.
6 to 8 inches.
For the cutting edge. A couple are pretty close, but they're all there.
Alright, so all 6 knives measure. Tip test on knife number 3, Judge Lauren Lawson. Alright, tip test on knife number 4. Ooh, that was a good one. Alright, tip test on knife number 5. Tip test, knife number 1. Tip test on knife number 2. Alright, tip test, knife number 6. So how did the knives survive? Are any of them damaged?
Not really. Some of them didn't go in the wood very far to test the tip enough.
2 or 3 of them are pretty dull in the tip.
Yeah.
They just had that really fine wire edge, and it's gone now.
That was knife number 4. How did knife number 4 stand out?
Quite well. I had a little bit of a problem with this right here.
Right?
It kind of dug into my finger. It's a bit thin this way to be a real nice finger hold. Other than that, the blade seems pretty nice to me.
Alright, Judge Keith Orm, 2x6 chop test, knife number 3. Alright, how did knife number 3 hold up?
Not bad. This is a little... Definitely not as sharp as it was. A couple little nicks there that are going to show up in the picture. Knife number 5.
Knife number 5, chop test. Alright, how'd knife number 5 hold up?
Knife number 5 had like a super fine chef knife edge, like it was a laser before.
I can see a little bit of shiny stuff on it in that spot right in there.
Yeah, it was hitting right in there, and it's kind of gone.
Alright, chop test, knife number 1. All right, thoughts on knife number 1?
Can definitely feel a little rolling. I don't know who made knife number 1, but you need to take the sharp edges out of your handle, please.
Chop test. I think it's just a chop test. Knife number 2. All right, thoughts on knife number 2?
It's got a thicker edge, so it held up. Like, it didn't take too much damage, but it's not overly sharp.
All right, chop test. Knife number 6. All right, Keith, what do we think of knife number 6?
Knife number 6 actually did really well. It's still pretty darn sharp.
This is the one that kind of rolls it over a little bit to cut. Pretty dull back in there. And there. And it's not bad in there. It's still just pushing the paper over. That was number 3. Number 4. That one's cutting pretty good. And there's a little bit of a burr, I think, right in there. The reason I'm going slow is if you just go fast, you'll make a clean cut. But if you go slow, you can feel where the burrs and where the sharp spots are. So I just go over and I say, okay, there's a burr right there. And just feel it. Okay. And we need number 5. Number 5. Oh, right in there, there's some burrs right in there, number 5. Right there. I'll push it to get it by there. Pretty good up in that part. Okay. So now we're ready to start number 1. Actually, for being a fairly flat type of sharpening, like not a very long edge on there, it's not too bad. What happens is if you're too flat this way, like this way, instead of being longer, you see how it wants to push the paper out of the way. See, when I'm pulling, see how it rolls the paper down this way rather than cutting it just open. Because that's not bad for sharp, actually.
This is knife number 2?
Yeah, number 2. not much edge at the back. Right there. Being a shorter knife, I expect, if we look at it, I think, yeah, most of the wood chopping was in this part. The longer knives, the wood chopping was back in this part. So you can definitely tell where that wood chopping was right in there.
Knife number 6.
Yep, number 6. That one's pretty good all the way.
All right, Judge Keith Orm's going to go through all the knives and give his final thoughts on each one.
Okay.
Which knife is this? Knife number 1?
This is knife number 1. It's got some square edges on the handle, and as I was chopping, they kind of dug in my tender little fingers. The blade held up really well. Overall, it's not bad. It's just the handle is the part that really got to me.
Knife number 3?
Knife number 3, kind of same thing, kind of a handling issue. Like this thing's, you know, 1 inch by 1 3/4, almost 7/8. Like, it's huge, and it's really slick. The blade, like the heat treat must have been okay because it held up not too bad. It could have been a little sharper. This knife,
Knife number 6?
knife number 6, the blade held up excellent. Everything's, you know, like, it felt good to swing, just the handle was a little round. So my 3rd or 4th hit, I kind of wanted to go like that in my hand. And there's just a little bit of the scale coming apart here. Other than that, it was pretty good. Knife number 5. I really like the look of this one. Like, it looks like a cool kitchen knife. It held up really well, stayed sharp. Same thing with the handle though. This is pretty darn skinny this way. It was just a little tough to hang on to. I like the swell at the back end, but it could have been just a little bigger all the way around. Knife number 4, I really like the look here. Like I said before, just that finger knot could have been a little wider because it's pretty skinny that way. And it started to dig into my finger about the 2nd chop. But the blade held up really well. I think it took a little bit of a roll, but it held up pretty decent. This knife, handle's just a bit short for me. Like, I'm all the way to the end, and by the end of the knife, the chop, I was hanging on to it like that because it wanted to slip out. I like the antler look, like, that's cool. Just a bit slippy and a bit short, and there's a little bit of a woohoo in the grind here, but like the blade, it held up good. It's just could have been a little bit more comfortable.
Okay.
All right, Judge Lauren Lawson's going to go give his final thoughts on all of the knives.
First thing I have to say is I was pretty impressed. I thought we would break a knife. It's almost disappointing that we didn't break one. I thought we had some pretty hard tests this year. Okay, this one here, yeah, the wood and handle here has got some sharp edges on it. The glue is not quite tight along these seams, so that means the wood probably wasn't flat to the steel. You know, it's nice to put some pins in it. Now this angle here is fairly flat. You can see the edge only comes back this far. So it's sharpened from here down to here, but the final edge is right here. And there's a couple other knives that way, and what I find is For a novice knife person that would take this knife to resharpen it, they're going to get sharper and sharper, and pretty soon the angle will be so steep they'll be almost flat. A longer edge is easier to get an edge on it.
For a knife owner, if they were to buy this knife, you
That's
mean?
right, for a previous owner. A little bit of damage.
Potential owner.
Yeah, a little bit of damage up here. Not much when I dropped it into the wood. Other than that, that's the big thing on that one. Okay, number 3. Yeah, same as Keith. Now my hands are not very long, but they're really wide. So see how my fingers won't come to it. So it just feels like I'm holding a too big a piece of pipe. Same with this one. The edge is only from here. I like to see this one at least is tapered down from here to here, but this one's only tapered down from here down to the edge. It's hard to get sharp. There's a spot up in here right when it first came. It's down to there. It's not even sharp. It was never sharp. And the end is so flat. There's really, I can run my finger lengthwise on that right there, and it's no thread of getting cut. So it just wasn't quite as sharp as I wanted. Nice idea with the guard there made out of rasp.
So when you're judging handles,
Yep.
what do you think is ideal? Now you have to keep in mind that everyone has different hands,
Yep.
had different hand sizes, and people submitting a knife aren't going to know how big your hand is. So what do you keep in mind when you're looking at knives?
Well, it's personally I like one that's a little flatter. Let's look at this one right now. A little bit more flat, so when you index it, it doesn't turn in your hand. It's still got rounded, smooth corners, so it doesn't hurt your hand. Now the problem I got with this is this finger well here. Like he says, too narrow this way, but it's also too high this way, stick it out. Because if I were to take this knife and leave that finger out of the way. Okay, there's where my other 3 fingers want to grab on that knife right there. So when I put that one up, see the space in here? That doesn't align with the rest of the space in there. It doesn't align with the rest of it. So that's where it's uncomfortable for me to hold, because that finger feels like it's sticking out. I would like to see, instead of this being higher than the rest of this, I'd like to be down here in the same height as it, and then not so much between, because personally I don't like my fingers split when I'm holding a knife. But for the width of the knife, I really like that.
Right. So size of the handle matters, but it's more the shape of the handle
That's right.
is more important.
Yeah. So number 6, I haven't talked about that. And yes, the biggest problem with this one is it's round. It could have been a little bit narrower in here. I like the pattern that he got out of it. Like, he's done a good job with the handle. Yeah, there was a little cracking in here from the chopping. This guy's done a lot of work. See how he's done the file work off like this? That's not the edge of the knife.
The rasp.
Yeah, the edge of the rasp. Yeah, that's actual file work. So he's put a pattern in there. So that makes it look pretty cool. And what I would have done, this is only a personal thing for me. It's nice that he put the swell in this way, but I would have come down here a little bit further with the knife and the guard, just so my finger wouldn't slide up against this so much. It would just protect a little bit more from sliding up. I do like the lanyard hole in this one. It's a rifle 7mm shell with a center drilled out of it. That's kind of a cool touch. It gets points in my mind. This one here.
What's this knife number 5?
Yes, awfully narrow. Great kitchen knife, but for a kitchen knife, for a handle to be this long, I think the blade should only be that long for a kitchen knife for that size of a handle. It's just a fairly big knife to get around. Like I say, my hands are fairly wide, so I'm pushing right to the end of that. And the little finger should be there when there's a swell, so it doesn't go over. When I grab that handle, mine's little finger's up on top of it. So the handles are way too small for me. This one here we haven't talked about. Kudos for the amount of work, like to put 4 pieces of brass in there. And that looks like probably a wood, maybe even an oak, and then the deer horn. He put a lot of work into the handle. The only thing is, see that pin there? It was too short. and it doesn't come out to be flush. So it's kind of a mistake. My biggest complaint with deer horn, and you can't get past that, is the irregular shape. So he did a good job of making it good for a deer horn. Same thing. Look where my end finger is. It doesn't take much before that finger's down here, because it's right on the end of it. This is not real sharp, and especially right in there. See, I can do that. You shouldn't be able to run your finger along that knife edge. That being said,
I think you just need to talk
yes.
about knife number 4 just a little bit more. You talked about it a bit, but
yeah, it's tapered down to here real nice, but then it's got that flat edge on it again. See where this one here has got the edge goes pretty much all the way down. This is number 6. That edge goes right almost down to the end. This one here is a little bit flat, but for chopping wood, it was good because it was a little flatter. This one's a really good looking knife. Like for looks, I love the looks of that knife. Just the handle up in here is the only thing I don't like about this one.
right. So this knife might have scored better if they would have left this out there.
Way better.
Right.
Even if that was down to here, and this was down to here, so make that a lot deeper that way down, so your fingers are more the same height. See how that finger kind of sticks up there? It's higher than the rest, and I can't get it wrapped around because it's so much higher than the rest. See how this finger wraps right around? That one doesn't.
Because this knife scored quite well on everything else, I think.
Yes, it did. Really good.
With the exception of just that one.
Yep.
This here.
That's the only complaint about that knife.
Right.
Yeah. Nice taper here. Makes it come down to a nice point, and the point is in line with the handle. Where you take one like this one, it's tapered off, but the center of the handle is here, and the tip is not quite on center. That's why when this one was dropped, it hit and it fell over. When this one hit, it stuck straight in because the point is straight in line with the weight and the mass. Okay, so the buckle this year, it's sponsored by Canadian Knife Makers Supply. It's the Alberta Knife Making Championship 2020. And the winner is going to go to this knife here with the orange and black handle.
What number is that knife?
It's number 6. Belongs to Cody Williams with 80 points. That's a 2 judge total. All these will be 2 judge total. So Cody wins that buckle.
Normally there'd be a round of applause, but since the coronavirus has destroyed our audience.
Okay, second place, Michelle Kudland with number 4 entry. Michelle Kudland, and she had 76 points. So third place, Jace Alexander. He had 68 points.
What was that, knife number?
Number 5.